Okay, managers make key decisions about the way that a corporation operates, and we're going to explain the 3 managerial decisions, and we're going to provide an example of a business transaction for each of the 3. So I've already written out, I've kind of started this answer here, but we've got the 3 major types of decisions that managers make are capital budgeting decisions, capital structure decisions, and working capital decisions. So capital budgeting decisions is, and then, you would want to make sure that you are writing these in complete sentences to make sure that you're properly getting your words out. But I'm going to focus mostly on just knowing what sort of elements we should try to bring in when we're talking about these. Okay, capital budgeting decisions would be what productive assets should the company buy? Okay, helps to answer that question. So capital budgeting decisions help to answer the question, what productive assets should a company buy? And I'm going to give some answers in the context of GPA Factory. So GPA Factory, as a local tutoring company, we might want to print out some packets. And when we end up recording some videos, sometimes we do it using paper. We're not necessarily the most eco-friendly with the use of our paper. So we might want to know, what is the best printer that we should buy to maximize how much printing we can do, and whether we can do color printing, and whether we can print very quickly if we needed to print a lot of packets for a large review session. So which printer to buy as a local tutoring company, that would be an example of a capital budgeting decision. Now, capital structure decisions are, how do we raise capital to then spend on productive assets? So we've gone through and we've done the analysis, and we say, okay, we know that we're going to buy like printer X. And we're like, oh shit, printer X, very expensive. So we need to figure out what we are going to do to raise money to buy printer X. So capital structure decisions are, we can go out and we can maybe take out a bank loan, which is going to be debt. Another source of debt is going to be, especially for corporations, these are the 2 big ones. We can issue bonds to raise money for our company, or we can issue stock. We can issue shares of stock or issue equity to shareholders. In exchange for, the company would get money. So a company deciding to issue new shares of stock would be a really good example. That would be a good example for a capital structure decision, is that we know that we want, for our future projects, $10 million as a corporation. And so we're going to go out to raise that $10 million. We're going to issue shares of stock. Okay, now we're keeping it moving for working capital decisions. Working capital decisions are, do we have enough short-term assets, say like e.g. cash and accounts receivable, to cover our short-term liabilities? You could give an example like that of something like accounts payable. So that's really what that is asking right there. And so something that would factor into a working capital decision would be something like, what kind of credit terms do we have with either our customers or our suppliers? And what I mean by that is, do we allow our customers to, pay us 2 years later? Because that's going to affect whether we are going to be able to receive cash quickly enough to pay off some of these short-term obligations. So same thing kind of with suppliers. Do we have a good relationship with our suppliers where, when we first start with them, they're like, okay, you need to pay us tomorrow. Like when we first buy stuff, they don't really trust us. We haven't really developed a relationship yet. So they force us to pay them almost immediately. And then after we've been working together for a few years, maybe they say, okay, you can pay me in 30 days. And then maybe we can try to extend that even further so we have cash available for a longer period of time before we then have to pay our suppliers. So that would be something that is a working capital decision. So there you go. Those are the three main ones. Let me know if you have any questions on those.